Hello and welcome. If you ever wondered how to connect different networks, this is a simple lab to show you how to create static routing between two different networks. So on the left hand side, you have a LAN or local area network 1 with this subnet 10.1.1.0/24. So we've got 254 IP addresses. There are two devices now live in that network, even though they're not connected. And we also have the router. So we're using 3 IPs from this network. And on the right hand side, you also have LAN 2. This is a different subnet 10.3.3.0/24. And there are also two servers. So we are pretending this is the internet, two websites you're going to visit, and you're based at your home or maybe in an office. So you have to go through the internet, and this area we are emulating to be the internet. So we have to create links between them. That's your ISP, internet connectivity, providing you, or you have another site and you have a link connecting the two sites. So let me run through the basics of the static routing, and then we do all the cabling, and then we will test the connectivity. To start with, we first need to understand when you are doing static routing, you're coming from one location through a hub and then going to another location through another hub and then reaching your destination network. When you reach that destination, your way back should also be available. So this router will also need to know how to get that response back to you through this hub, and then you receive. So if you send traffic, if you are visiting a website, for example, you're sending traffic through this switch, the switch now sends to that router, the router forwards it to this router gets it to this switch, and then to the destination. This one, when it responds, the switch broadcasts again or sends back to here, and this router will respond to here, to the switch, to the source. That's how that static routing works. But how do we set up? First, I need to cable the network. So if we choose from the bottom left the cabling, between the switch and router, we use copper straight through copper cable. That's the one. So if we click, we have the fast Ethernet interface. We can pick any interface that's available from the switch. Let's pick the second one and then connect the second computer from it is fast Ethernet to the switch on the third, and then the first we're going to connect from the switch to the fast Ethernet 00 of the router. And you can see these are red because they are not enabled, they are not configured. We will do that. But and on the other side, on the LAN 2, we do the same cabling as well. So from the switch, let's pick number 2, connect to the first server, and then get another cable from the switch number 3, going to the fast Ethernet of the server, and then between the switch and the router again, we have fast Ethernet, so 0, and then the fast Ethernet number 1 here. That's now connected. Between the two routers, we are connecting WAN link. So I will use a cross serial cable with DCE or a clock, and then we will connect the first serial port and connecting it to the first serial port of the second router. This is now all cabled up. You might see some interfaces showing orange. That's the spanning tree. It takes some time and then clears out. And the connectivity now starts with configurations. We have this network. When they want to go to that destination, this router should get the packets from the source when it receives on this interface. And if you want to see the interface names, you can just say options, preferences, and then from the preferences window, if you go to label, always show label, that will show you the interface name. So you can see fast Ethernet 00 from here, and all the other interfaces, they're all shown here. So what we're going to do is to configure this router. It is fast Ethernet 00, give it this IP 10.1.1, and we are using 1 from that network. 10 used by this one, 11 used by this one, and we do the same for the other network. So let's start with the router 1 and site 1. So if you click, you will see you will be taken to the command line interface, and you can also change the font if you like, and you can make it less or bigger. But just to show you clearly on this recording, I made it a bit large. So this is taking you to initial configuration dialog. That is taking you the steps like, do you want to configure this, yes or no? Do you want to configure that? We don't want that. We just want to configure what we need. So I would just say no, then it takes me to the enable mode, and I will write the command here, enable, and then I need to go to the configuration mode. So configure terminal, that takes me to a different mode, the config mode. And what I want to do here is to name the router first. So I will say host name and I will call it R1. That router is now there. And if I exit the configuration and I say show IP interface brief, that shows me what's configured in my interfaces. Nothing yet. What I want is this to be 10.1.1.1/24, and I want that one 10.2.2/24. And so let's configure those interfaces. We need to go back again to the configure terminal. We can say just config t or conf t, and then we need to go to the interface itself, interface fast ethernet. We can click the tab key on your keyboard and that completes the command, if it can understand the full, or otherwise you need to provide the full as well. And that is now taking us to the fast ethernet interface. We need to give an IP address. So the command is IP address, then whatever the IP is 10.1.1.1, and the subnet mask is 255.255.255.255.0. And that's now done, but the interface is still down. If you see, if I move this window to the side, that interface is red. But when I run this command, no shutdown, then the interface becomes green. The switch takes time with the spanning tree. That's the default spanning tree. It takes a little bit of a time, but it clears out. If you want to speed it up, you can click on here and then that becomes green. Click back on the router. We have done the fast ethernet here. If you want to confirm, you can just exit with one command, end, and then go to the interface. You have done the command before, so you can use the up arrow from your keyboard and it remembers, it shows you the history. So you see the cable is connected, the status is up, no shutdown. We give a IP manual and it is IP is 10.1.1. That's the fast ethernet. The second one we need to do is the serial interface. So again, I will go to conf t and then go to interface serial 0/0/0 and then give the IP address. And if you see from the diagram here, we have 10.2.2 and we're giving 1 here. So if I go back and if I say 10.2.2.1 255.255.255.0, we're using /24, even though it's only 2 IPs. The important thing I want to show you here is the static routing. Later you can learn how to conserve IP addresses with using /30, things like that. So I would say this one has a clock, and I would take the least speed, maybe 64,000, and then I would say no shutdown is a short form of no shut means no shutdown. The interface still shows down, and the reason is because the other side, for serial cables you have to configure both sides. The other side is not configured yet. I've done some configurations and I need to save it. So copy running config to startup config. That saves the configuration in the router. Now I can do the same on the second router. Click on the router and go to the command line. You can expand the window a little bit. And then for the initial configuration, we say no, then enable. We can say Control Alt F6 or 6. So if you go to enable mode, and then from there, if you take the config terminal, then you can rename the device and call it R2. When that's done, you can then do the interface fast ethernet 0/0, and that interface is connected to the LAN here. Fast ethernet 0/0 is hidden here actually. That's for the switch. And so if you configure and give it 10.3.3, so if you say IP address and then say 10.3.3.1 255.255.255.0, and then you say no shut and then enable, sorry, end, and then save it, and you can say copy, run, start, and that now gives us one interface up from that LAN. I will divide the configuration into multiple videos to shorten the time. So I will see you in the next video.